What have you learnt from the consultation process about getting a market which is not dominated by a very small number of providers who are doing most of the privatised public services?
I mean, this is a really crucial point, and a lot of it comes down to the geography of what we do. There's no right and wrong answer to this. If you look at the different factors I'm trying to take into account, I want to make sure that the prison service is quite closely aligned with what we're doing in the probation arena, so that, you know, at least in the last few months of your sentence, you are in a geographic area, in a prison, where you're going to be released into that geographic area. And actually, I want to put in place some tougher conditionality around just moving house and moving around the country, because what I don't want you to be released into the care of a local organisation and then be able to travel 200 miles up the road for no particular reason, and we lose the continuity of support post-prison. But you'll understand, if I create geographic areas that are too small, it becomes much more difficult to do that, because I've only got 120 prisons that are outside the high secure sector. And so I've got to create an environment where it's possible to have that flow through.
They need to make some geographic sense, don't they, rather than be arbitrarily stuck together to create a particular size.
Absolutely. I also need to have some degree of alignment with police areas and police force areas. I want to have sensible alignment with work programme areas, because one of the key parts of getting offenders back into normal life and law-abiding life is to get them into a job. That's one of the reasons that one of the early developments we made to the work programme was to have day one entry to it for those people leaving prison. So I've got all these bits of a jigsaw around, and what we've got to do is to find the best optimum geographic spread. The numbers have also got to be, numbers of offenders being supported in a particular block area have also got to be sufficient for us to be able to do statistical work around reoffending for payment by results, and also give provider groups enough people to work with to create some economies of scale without creating giant factories. So one of the purposes of the consultation is to really start to get thoughts about how we do all of that. We're getting some interesting thoughts from consultees. One of the options, for example, we're looking at is whether we can have coordinating boards where we go across more than one police force area. One of the challenges in aligning with police force areas, of course, they are quite disparate in size. You know, you've got Thames Valley, which is 3 counties, but you've got Norfolk, which is 1 county, for example. But it's obviously really important that we align as closely as possible with police forces so that there is good coordination between them. There isn't a right and wrong answer to this yet. We're working on it, but I'm very acutely aware. And what I don't want to do is create something that's so big that nobody in the voluntary sector has any chance of bidding for anything.
That's an interesting answer, particularly in respect of the area structure in the voluntary sector. It doesn't really tell me how you're going to get more entrance into this market.
Well, I mean, the first thing is I'm very confident we'll get quite a lot of entrance into the market, because there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interest. One of the things I'm trying to do is to get voluntary sector groups to team up. You know, it may be that, you know, if you have a geographic area that covers 2 counties, that there's a charity that can do one but not the other. And so therefore getting a partnership between 2 voluntary sector organisations in each county to form a kind of a team to do it, and possibly backed by social investors. And we're really trying to do a process of bringing organisations together so that we get the right mix of localised, focused, specialist expertise, critical mass in terms of, you know, doing some of the things we need to, what I said on the housing front. You're not going to have a little local charity setting up its own mini housing association. You're going to want some more beef behind it to do that. But I do want the expertise of the little local charity to be there, and I don't want it to be purely just the classic private sector prime contractor, lots of little guys underneath. I want to see if we can get as much variety as possible.
Yasmin Qureshi?